my name is Dominic Fonte with Cutler Real Estate. I wanted to thank you for tuning in today. You know, when I go throughout my day, I get a lot of comments about this new thing I've been hearing about, which is title fraud. 65% of all title claims are fraud. These online criminals are stealing the equity in your home. And it really stresses me out because there's so many things to think about when you go through the real estate transaction. I brought an expert in today. His name is Mike O'Reilly. He's the president of Title I, who's been around 37 years. So I figure let's let him answer it because I need to know that we're good.
Thanks for having me on,
Sure.
Dominic. So yeah, I've heard the commercials too. You hear a lot of the different companies talking about title fraud. And I think one of the things that's frightening just from even a consumer on my end is worrying about the title of my home and if I'm going to have my equity stolen or if somebody's going to go take a mortgage out. And they don't have to take any mortgage out in their name. They're actually transferring the property to themselves through a fraudulent signature. So,
Perryman, I have the perfect example today because I often get a lot of issues with quitclaim deeds and bad title. Now, for this example, probably it may not be a bad issue, a bad situation that comes up, but I wanted to shoot this video in real time while I'm actually looking at this from my client. So I asked my client, just sent this email over a couple hours ago and asked him for a copy of the deed because what I'm seeing here, this property was acquired through tax sale. The county had a tax deed on the property back in 2013, September. The county sold the property, you can see here, to Trading Places LLC in 2013. Trading Places sold this property to Rodriguez in 2020, August 28th, 2020. Remember that date because August 28th of 2020, my client's deed that they received is from July 28th, 2020, 1 month prior. Now this deed is actually showing that it was recorded, or at least it has the barcode and stamp here. The issue is, now our system has a delay, so some items that were recorded may not show up here just yet, but this is why you want to have a title company do a thorough title search on any property. Even if you're buying on a quitclaim deed, a title search only costs you between $150 maybe $200 to actually run a title search. Even if you're not closing with the title company, you can still pay them to run a title search. So, and there's some great title companies out there that you can use just to run a title search. The issue is, even if this deed is recorded and is done properly, the issue we're seeing is that the person that sold the property to my client, Wendy Briggs, is not showing up here. So we have to find out, where does Wendy Briggs fall in place in chain of title? So here you have this person here received it from Trading Places. We can trace Trading Places back to originally acquiring the property from the county. Then we show that the county actually acquired the property through maybe tax foreclosure, what it looks like here. So, and you can see the actual deed. So this is the deed from the county. This was the tax foreclosure of the. Then we can see the deed from Trading Places when they acquired the property from the county. And then we can see the deed from Trading Places to the gentleman Rodriguez. So, but the issue is, my client received this deed from Wendy Briggs. There's a missing deed. There needs to be a deed from Rodriguez to Wendy Briggs. If not, we have an issue. We need to find this lady here. So, not to say that there's anything fraudulent, but just simply that there's a missing deed that was not recorded, or there's some other issues going on here. These are things you need to look out for, and this is why you absolutely need to do a title search before you spend your money buying a property here in Detroit or Michigan via quitclaim deed. This is Reginald Perryman with RegiusRealEstate.com.
Imagine finding out the home you've owned for years is suddenly being foreclosed on because somehow the deed got transferred to someone else without you knowing. Well, this is exactly what happened to some Houston homeowners. KPRC2 reporter Bryce Newberry spoke with 3 people who believe the same deed thief targeted them.
She contacted me to let me know that she worked at an attorney's office and that they had my paperwork. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she says, did you get a loan on your house? I said, no, what do I need a loan for? I don't owe nothing. So he says, Mom, it's real. I said, but son, I didn't do that. He says, Mom, I know you didn't do it. I'm looking at the paperwork. It's not your signature. It is not your signature. So I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Or I don't understand how somebody can do that when they're not even the real person, when I am the real person and I can't do things that I want to do. And I have all the documents. I have my license in front of you. I have everything proving who I am. But yet somebody can just come like this and just scam your property, take your property just because they want to? No, that's not right. Start looking up your documents. Do your research. Everybody, please, please look at everything. Make sure your house is in your name.
Wow, very scary. Well, we want to make sure you know how to check if your home is still under your name. Joining me now live to talk about how this can happen and how you can protect yourself is real estate attorney Cassie McGarvey. Cassie, good morning. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Of course. Thank you very much.
So
Glad to be here.
So the main question here on everyone's mind is, how can something like this happen?
Well, it's really quite simple, actually, is that the how is somebody pretends to be you, the owner of your home. And unfortunately, there's notaries out there or people who will steal notary stamps, and they can pull a sample deed off the internet and find something, fill in the blanks, and get it recorded at the real property records.
That's very scary.
Also, where we see it happening more often is with families who haven't done any type of estate administration or probate proceeding for a generation or two. You have multiple owners of a home, and one person will pretend to be the grandparent and have an old deed conveying the property out.
Man, that's very scary. I was wondering too, if age is a factor, and then folks who have more than one home in across state lines, for example, like snowbirds.
Right. I would say it's more likely a factor for people who are not, I mean, I hate to say not as attentive, but definitely with age. You also have people who will target certain neighborhoods or certain blocks. And you will get people to sign documents where they don't know exactly what they're signing.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of both the actual forged signatures, but sometimes the person actually signs it, but they don't know what it is that they're signing. They're just being misled.
Cassie, we're obviously talking about the problem. Let's talk about a solution. Is there a solution here that homeowners can do, or something actions they can take?
Tonight, as you go to bed, you may lock the doors and turn on your alarm, but should you be doing more to keep your home safe? A Verify viewer texted us after seeing an ad like this right here. It warns thieves can forge your signature and even use fake IDs to get the title to your home and make it theirs. But before you buy into that hype, 10 Tampa Bay anchor Josh Sidorowicz is here to verify what this is all about and if these services promising protection are worth the price.
A new wave of white-collar crime.
Many of these ads feature familiar faces and big claims, like this one, that the FBI says home title theft is one of the fastest-growing crimes in America, where criminals transfer your deed, and by the time you realize what's even happened, they've turned around and sold your house right out from under you. So I asked the FBI myself. I also polled Florida state law, and I spoke with Steve Gottheim with the American Land Title Association.
This fear that somebody's going to go down to the courthouse, record something that says they own your home and try to sell it out from under you. It's kind of a little bit of a mountain out of a molehill.
Gottheim says of the thousands of title insurance companies that his association represents nationwide, they just aren't seeing this type of thing happening. But don't take his word for it. I asked the FBI about this claim. There is no evidence that the agency has ever even made this assertion. In fact, a spokesperson told me it doesn't even happen enough to warrant its own category in the
A Raleigh man says the deed to his home was taken from him. The deed no longer in his name, despite the man owning the home and still living there with his wife.
Our I-Team troubleshooter Diane Wilson is here now. Diane, this is just a really wild story, and we're all left wondering how it could even happen.
You know, so crazy, and shockingly, the owner says this all happened just by someone going to the Wake County Register of Deeds with some paperwork claiming ownership, and the deed, it's now in their name.
I'm left the victim, and there's no recourse. So it's just a tough spot to be in.
A tough spot to be in for Craig Adams, the owner of this beautiful 8,300 square foot home in North Raleigh. He does have it listed for sale, but has lived in it for the last 4 years, paying the mortgage and property taxes. But he just discovered the deed to his home, no longer in his name. Instead, it lists a complete stranger.
Found out that she had filed a false warranty claim deed against this house, basically trying to steal this home.
She being someone named Dawn Mangum. Craig only learned about Mangum getting the deed in her name after the property management company for his HOA asked if he sold his home, as Mangum contacted the management company to get gate access, since Craig's home sits in a private gated community. This paperwork filed with the Wake County Register of Deeds office, signed by Mangum, states Craig Adams as a debtor, along with Don Mangum estate. And Wake County approved the deed transfer to Don Mangum Trust. Craig went to the Wake County Register of Deeds to question how this happened.
There's no effort to authenticate the validity of the change of deed. Nobody verifies the notary. Nobody verifies who owns the house that's trying to be transferred to a different owner.
Craig says once he proved he's the owner of the home and Don Mangum has no stake in it, the deed still stays in Don Mangum estate.
They say there's absolutely nothing they can do to reverse this once it's filed. Their only solution is that I have to go hire a private attorney, and the first quote I got was about $8,000 to file a civil suit against this woman.
A representative for Wake County says under North Carolina law, the Register of Deeds is not required to verify the legal validity of a deed when it is presented for registration, nor are they required to verify the credentials or legal standing of the notary or drafter of the document. She adds as soon as they became aware of the fraudulent deed, it alerted the tax administration office. The no tax information for the property should be changed. A representative also said because a deed has been recorded, the Register of Deeds office does not have the authority under North Carolina state law to remove the document.
Now to Scam You, and Rebecca, you have a story about a scheme that literally hits close to home for a lot of people.
Yeah, Whit, this is a warning about criminals stealing your most prized possession, your home, and you're about to see surveillance footage that authorities say shows the scam in action. This may look like a normal day at a county clerk's office, but look closely at this couple in the waiting room. Prosecutors say Michelle Cherry and her husband Victor Rodriguez were there to steal a home from unsuspecting owners.
To have someone steal your property it's like stealing the American dream. It's terrible. We've seen a big increase in that sort of activity.
According to Florida prosecutor Mike Lennon, Cherry made 3 trips to the clerk's office, stealing not 1, but 3 different Tampa area properties with fraudulent documents, using quitclaim deeds, a type of deed that can quickly transfer ownership of property.
They looked for properties that they believed were abandoned, and then they used online information to forge signatures on these deeds to file them with the clerk of court.
Prosecutors say one of those properties belonged to Larry and Dreama Bilby.
Just like that, your house is stolen. Yeah. It's gone.
It only cost 70 cents and some paperwork.
The Bilbys tell us they weren't living in their home at the time because of construction, but they were monitoring their home security cameras, which they say showed the suspects on their property multiple times.
They took our power bill and our water bill. They shut off our name and put their names on it.
The Bilbys
Homeowners are becoming a target of fraud, and it has to do with a document you may have no idea was ever filed, and it could cost you your property. Fox 43's Jackie DeTore finds out what counties in our area are doing to help you spot the fraud.
They are known as title pirates, and they use forged documents to basically steal your home right from under you.
On this 7 on Your Side Investigates reports, our Carlos Granda explains how it works, how hard it is to fix, and what you can do to help prevent it from happening to you.
It's likely your biggest investment. You buy a home, and when you get that deed, you assume it's safely yours. But sometimes it's not so safe.
The brazenness of this really gets me.
Daniel Rabb and his business partner held the mortgage on a building in Venice. They say the owner never paid, so they filed a foreclosure. That's when they discovered there was a problem. They claimed the person forged a document reconveying the property to him.
We immediately call up the trustee that handled the foreclosure, and that had signed this rescission. And she said, that's not us. That's a total fake. In fact, our notary stamp is spelled wrong.
They claim that person was able to file the fake documents with the county, and it went through.
The clerk at the recorder's office needs to be looking at these deeds to make sure there's a notary stamp on it, that the person who notarized it is approved and registered in the state of California as a notary, and the deed also has to be signed.
Arash Sadat is a real estate attorney who says it's a fine balance to make sales and transfers easy, but also to make them safe.
Theoretically, the clerk at the county recorder's office could look up the stamp number. Whether they do that or not every time, I'm not sure.
The system is definitely an honor system, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work to stop fraud, and it puts the onus on the property owner, and the legal system is just not adapted to this modern technology, because now anybody can create no